Hello everyone and welcome back to the Super Rugby Podcast / the Rugby World Cup Podcast 2019.
With your hosts,
Toby Harris.
Yes, and Davey Warren. Why did we do
we
that?
We mixed that up, didn't we?
Oh, maybe we need to go back and delete it, mate.
But it's been a wonderful week of rugby. We've had slippery balls.
Oof, she's been wet, hasn't she?
We had dry conditions for the first time in the whole tournament that we've known, so it wasn't very humid in a couple of the games. Please, fingers crossed, that continues for a long time to come. And we've had some interesting results. Nothing unexpected, but interesting results.
Have we had interesting results?
Well, I think there's been a few interesting results. For instance, the Tonga-France game, interesting result. Interesting scoreline.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And we'll talk a bit more about that.
Yeah, you make a fair point,
the
actually.
Japan-Samoan game and that little bit of a refereeing issue that we did see towards the end of that game, which we'll talk about.
Like Scotland. Same ref as 2015, you reckon?
No,
it's not.
Jaco Piper, wasn't it?
No.
Wasn't it Jaco Piper?
No, it was another South African who doesn't do any international 15s anymore.
For that reason?
Yes, probably, yeah. Craig Joubert, I think it was.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
It was Joubert.
Oh. He was Joubert.
But we're going to go over all the games that have taken place over the past week for a start. And we're going to kick off with, there's lots of games that happen. We've had France versus America. And obviously that was an easy win to France, and we would expect that. New Zealand playing Canada, and that was the slippery ball syndrome. And there's a question that we've put out there to say...
There was that... there was the drop ball by Bowden Barrett.
2. So one by Bowden and one by Scott.
Yeah, I know. God.
But that does show that, we're talking about some of the highest skilled players in the world dropping the ball with no one in front of them.
Yeah.
It does show us just how humid it must have been. I've never seen him do that.
No, I haven't seen him even do it when it's absolutely bucketing down either.
Correct, yeah. It must be. I think it's like even the shirt just gets drenched in sweat, and obviously sweat must be just a little bit more slippery than water.
Yeah, well,
it must be. So that was an interesting game from that point of view. 63-0. Okay, whatever. But then we do get down to what I thought was going to be a much tighter match was South Africa versus Italy.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I'm looking at one here, which is the Fiji-Georgia game. I actually picked Georgia to win it.
Yeah, but you have absolutely no idea about rugby at times, do you? Let's be honest. Who would have? To be fair,
right? You're listening to us, so you can't smell anything, but it smells absolutely foul because his attitude stinks.
All I've got to say is you're kind of right. Fiji did lose to, Uruguay.
Yes.
And no one
then Georgia
that.
thrashed Uruguay.
Yeah, Georgia did thrash Uruguay.
So there is a bit of something to my madness.
And then Fiji thrash Georgia. So that makes absolutely no sense.
No.
South Africa versus Italy was a one-sided affair, and I didn't pick that.
Of course.
Then probably the biggest game of all, but it wasn't the biggest game, was England versus
such a letdown.
Argentina.
Such a letdown. Argentina did not turn up to the party. England played reasonably well. They did, yeah.
We're all starting
red card.
Red card.
It was a red card.
It wasn't. I did feel, if I was playing Owen Farrell, that's exactly what I'd like to do as well. But
knock his head off. Yeah, me too. But what I found, I think, a year or so ago, it would have been okay. It would have been a yellow card for sure.
He was dropping, and
he was
I
stepping
thought,
in, wasn't he?
And I did think that the referee might say mitigating circumstances would mean it's a yellow, but I can't really complain. When you watched it back on the video.
Always looks worse in slow-mo.
Yeah, but he started pretty high. At best, it was going to be around the old nip-nips.
But let's say he didn't get a red card. It wouldn't have mattered. Argentina did not turn up at all. England played well.
I don't think Argentina have turned up all this season.
They peaked for Super Rugby.
Yeah. I think they're almost bored of each other's company. I reckon if you go into that kind of the hotel and the dress, they've been with each other all year.
Yeah.
And it's,
Or they're just real good mates.
maybe they are real good mates, but to play at Super Rugby level as a team, and then to play at international level as a team, and
it's a big step up.
It's a big step up, and their scrum is not good enough. And they used to rely on their line out and their scrum.
Yeah.
They've still got a great line out. Their scrum's gone down the pan.
Although they did lose their main line out jumper.
Yeah, within the first 10 minutes of the game. But I think you got to take your hat off to England, and where I think you got to take the hat off to them is they scored a lot of tries. Owen Farrell kicked like I've never seen him kick before.
Yeah,
shocking.
in a real bad way.
After his knock to the head, people are saying he should have been head knock test because he never misses kicks.
Oh, I don't think you can blame the kick. I mean the hit to the head.
Really?
Oh no,
he was awful.
He kicked badly before
the knock to the head.
Yeah, they scored a couple of tries before the knock to the head.
Okay, I'll give you that. Imagine if he kicked all his goals like he normally does. That scoreline would have been absolutely monstrous. It was 39-10.
To 50.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to take your hat off to England and say they played attractive rugby. They didn't rely on...
They played Southern Hemisphere rugby.
They played Southern Hemisphere rugby. They've got the power in the pack. They've got a great...
out wide.
Oh, they've got speed out wide.
Anthony Watson.
Oh.
You'd have him in your team.
But you're worried, eh? You're worried because the only real weak link that they've got in that back line is Farrell at 12. And people will be spitting at me now saying, oh, and Farrell's a weak link. He's the only ball player in that back line. He's a distributor. He's not going to crash it up. He's not got much gas. He's a
10, not a 12.
I don't think he's a 10.
Do you think he's a 12?
I think he's a good kicker.
I think he's a good kicker.
And I think he's a good 10.
I agree.
I think he's a good 10 if you want to just pin the game down.
I tell you what, he's a good 10, but he's not as good as Ford.
Ford is absolute class.
He is, isn't he?
At bringing the back line into the game.
Yeah.
He's absolutely phenomenal at that. So I'm going to say England deserved it. And I just think if England played anyone, they would have been tough to beat on that day.
Yes.
Pick any team in the world. If Farrell kicked all his goals, that would have been the difference between them winning and losing against any top side in that competition. In this competition. The other tough game, wasn't it, was the old Japan-Samoa game. And that was a lot tighter than the scoreline would say, 38-19. It was tight all game.
I thought it would be very tight.
Yeah.
I did think that. But that last minute.
The old Samoans were like, oh, we're going to go for a try from our own goal line.
Yeah.
They should write a note to old Ireland about that.
Yeah.
And then they fed the ball, and they did feed it quite badly.
Yeah, but you've got to be consistent, and I'm sorry, but everyone hasn't been that good.
No, but he really fed the ball. I think he made the right call, but I just think it was such a big call to make. If they had been in the middle of the game, I would have said, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Good, yeah, finally you're picking them up for not putting it in somewhat straight.
Did anyone appeal for it at the time?
No.
No. Oh my gosh.
I mean, but it really was crooked. I mean, it was like rugby league style.
Under the buddy.
Yeah, under the second rows. But he hadn't called. I can't remember another scrum in this competition that's been called for not straight.
I tell you what, I can't remember the last time I've heard like a referee pull up a scrum for illegal feeding.
Yeah, it's a great point, mate. Great point, and that potentially means that if Japan go into the last game against Scotland, they can go through with losing the match with 1 point.
Yeah.
That is obviously that's relying on the fact that Scotland beat Russia. Well, I think they'll do that, but with a bonus point try. It means then that Scotland have to then go into the last game and get a bonus point themselves and stop Japan from getting a bonus point. And that's a huge ask. A huge ask to do.
I think they'll do it.
You think Scotland are going to do it?
I think Scotland will beat them, yeah.
Moving on to the New Zealand versus Namibia game. What were your thoughts on this one?
You've got here poor first half.
No, question mark.
Yes, I can see the question mark.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure it was a poor first half.
No, I don't think it was. Everyone was really critical of the ABs.
Namibia just played absolutely fantastically.
I don't think Namibia played fantastically. I think they defended fantastically.
That means they played.
No, because with ball in hand,
I mean, they didn't look like
absolutely pap. They
didn't look like
they literally
scoring.
parked the bus, didn't they? Do you know what I mean? They're like, look, listen, you can have the ball if you want. We're going to D up here.
But their defence was amazing.
Was really good, and that was probably my worry. Now I know they had Geordie Barrett playing at 10. We're the Geordie Barrett fan club here, and and that did somewhat make it more difficult. But you've got to take your hat off to Geordie Barrett.
Oh, he hasn't played first five at Super Rugby.
No.
Or international rugby.
No, and just to be chucked in there.
Yeah,
at
I
World
know.
Cup.
Yeah, there you go, big fella.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big fella, right? 6'5". He actually looks a bit odd, doesn't he? At 10?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I mean, out in the way it kind of looks all right, but when he's at 10,
too tall,
absolute monster. He's like Peter Crouch, isn't he? Now, if you don't know who Peter Crouch is, if you don't know who Peter Crouch is,
look him up.
Look him up. He's a footballer, a striker.
He looks like a noodle.
Very, very funny guy, but. So I actually think that the ABs played pretty well, but I did feel if you can't break down a Namibian side in the first 20 minutes, you may struggle against a slightly better side, and therefore you really are then relying on turnover ball to score your tries, and we're very good at that in New Zealand, but I don't know whether we're going to be good enough because when you play England at the moment, they will score tries, so therefore you've got to score more tries than them. And you got to kick your goals.
Yeah, but also our defence was very good.
Yeah, but we are playing Namibia. 71 points, fair reflection. What about Geordie Barrett's first two kicks were awful. And then he kicked amazing, didn't he?
Yeah.
I was like, what?
It's going to be a long day. What did you think of TJ Perenara at first five?
Did he really play at first five?
Yeah, he did,
though?
Yeah.
He kind of was out when he scored that try. And what a try.
Oh, my gosh.
Try of the tournament right there.
Oh.
Now, if you haven't seen that try, just go back and watch because there was some.
It is fantastic.
There is a number of skills there that make New Zealand just really nice to watch. But do you know Rico Ioane?
Yeah.
I think what he did in that move was amazing, and all he did was pick the ball up from the ruck.
Oh yeah,
suck in the one player and pass.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of other players,
he played well when he came on actually, and he came on in the midfield.
Well enough.
Nobody came on in the midfield.
I'm asking you a question. You're not answering. Well enough.
No.
Did he? No. That's what an amazing. He was like out and out world's best winger, and
but any team would still have him.
Yeah, maybe we should have him. I'm a big fan of George Bridge. Big fan of George Bridge.
Severis.
Did
you see Severis' first try?
Oh yeah,
he did the old goosey again.
We love the goosey here on the Super Rugby podcast / Rugby podcast. Mate, the most interesting game of all of these, though, was France v Tonga.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Tonga sort of basically giving them a couple of tries...
It was 17-0, wasn't it, after not much?
They would have won that game and it would have been another repeat of Wellington. Was it Wellington and the Cape Town, I think? Wasn't it? France being France, though, they looked absolutely... They looked like they're going to beat them by 50, 60 points.
Yeah.
And then they were like... Oui, bonjour, red wine, baguette. They're like, we're just going to down tools now until we need to work again. 23, they just did enough. My worry with France is they're not going to turn up against England because now they're through. And if they don't turn up against England, then England is just going to grow in confidence again.
But France could top the table, couldn't they?
Yeah, I just don't think they're that bothered, mate. They're like, quarters, happy days. Who
are they playing? Well, they could play Wales. Would they rather play Wales or Australia? Because really, it's in their hands, isn't it?
Who would you rather play, Australia or Wales? It's a tough old decision, that, isn't it?
I'd rather play Wales.
If I was England, I'd want to play Australia.
Yes,
because I think that suits them.
Yes, agreed.
If I'm France,
I'd want to play Australia too.
Okay, so Australia are your weaker side.
Yeah.
Wales are a pretty good opponent right now, aren't they? You know it's going to be tough to beat them.
Yeah.
Really, really tough to beat them. Out of all the games, mate, what was your favourite to watch?
Well, mine was the New Zealand match. Just because I'm biased. Although I did like Tonga's fight back. That was quite a good game to watch. As a neutral.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, go on Tonga. Could win this. But then I also wanted France to play well. So it was like, ooh, careful, England.
I think once Argentina hadn't turned up against England, this game was just not really.
I know.
It lost all its momentum for me. Because it would have been really exciting for England to lose against Argentina.
Yeah.
Then to go to France. I mean, even if they won against France,
yeah,
it would have been brilliant end
yes.
to that group's matches. Up next, we are going to talk over the up-and-coming matches for this weekend, and there are some interesting matches ahead, I would say.
There's a few good ones.
First match, Tobes, that tickles me fancy. Hey? Tickles me fancy, mate.
Don't like that. Don't like it when you say
I like the look of Wales v Fiji.
No.
Why, you think Wales are going to just roll them?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I just think Fiji... I think Wales...
Imagine if Fiji won.
Oh, it'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? I said they were going to give an upset, didn't I? Let's go through. We've got Argentina versus US of A. Argentina to win that.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Scotland v Russia.
I think Scotland will win that quite easy.
Will they get a bonus point? 4 tries.
They need it, don't they?
They need it, yeah. So I think they will.
I think they will, yeah.
If they don't, it'll be a crying shame. It will be. Wales, Fiji. I'm going to say...
Wales by 10?
You've said they're going to win easy.
Wales by 10. I was just rudely interrupting you because it's funny.
I'm going to say, Wales by 10.
Oh, okay.
But I think it'll be tight game until the second half again. Then we've got Australia v Georgia. Australia to win easy.
Yeah.
New Zealand v Italy. New Zealand are going to play their best team.
Do you think so?
Absolutely. Yeah, they'll play their best team on that game. So I think.
Do you think best team Bowden at 10?
No. Richie at 10.
Do you think Richie at 10?
Bowden at 4.
Bowden come off the bench.
What would be interesting, who's going to play at 12 and 13? That's going to be
Who do you think?
I'm not going to answer that. They're going to go Crotty. They're going to go Crotty.
Crotty at 10. I mean...
Crotty at 10. Bang
Crotty at 12.
We've tried everyone else.
Crotty at 12.
Crotty at 12. And at 13, I think they're going to go...
Goodhue?
Do you know Goodhue? We can talk about
Anton
Goodhue.
Leonard-Brown played...
I think they'll go Anton Leonard-Brown.
Yeah,
and
so
I'm not sure about that. For me... I get rid of one of those lot and I go Lamape at 13.
Yeah, but Lamape's not even in the...
I'd go into that hotel and chop someone's leg off and say, I'm really sorry, you're going to have to go back home. That's my biggest worry. I just don't think they've got enough there. Goodhue's not up to it at the moment. He doesn't look match fit. You watch him in that match. He did some nice things.
Yes.
He's very good on defence.
He is, yeah.
But he looks slow. He looks sluggish because he's not sharp enough. He's not match fit.
What about
Big Sonny?
Yeah,
on the bench.
Do you think so?
Yeah, definitely on the bench.
Because he can play most places, can't he? If need be.
I'd still play him at 13. I know that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I mean, if need be, he can go on the wing, really, can't he? If there's an injury.
No, he can't. He can't. He's way too slow now. And that's his problem.
He is quite slow,
you'd say 13, but you go, he's a bit slow. But I still think you can get the offload there.
Yeah,
and I know no one's agreeing with me. Can I just say, no one's agreeing with me. Everyone's saying he's a 12, but that offload is so potent.
Who else
out
was
wide.
slow at 13 for us? Just wind your clock back to 2015. Conrad Smith.
He wasn't slow.
Do you know what I used to call him? Conrad Smith, no pace.
No, really.
He was so slow.
He wasn't that slow.
Anyway.
Well, I've lost where I'm at.
What about wingers?
Oh, it's got to be Severeece and
George Bridge.
But I would put Severeece definitely. I'd go Ioane. You got to give him a run out.
Yeah. You
got to give him a real good run out against a half decent opposition.
Yeah.
Before you can make that decision. England v France. I think England are going to win this easy.
I reckon they'll win it by 15, 20 points.
I think they're going to win it by 25 points. That's a huge call to make.
25 points?
Yeah. Ireland Samoa. That game, I mean, is it Samoa's last game? Or have they got one more after that? But they'll really want to upset Ireland. Imagine if Ireland got beaten again.
They'd still go through. No.
They wouldn't go through, would they?
Would they?
Well, ooh.
Would they? I'm just going to bring up the pools. Keep talking, mate.
Yeah.
You're good at it. Keep talking.
Then we've got Canada and Namibia. Well, that's a huge match, and that is at the Earthquake.
Yes, it is.
Recovery Stadium.
That's
and
huge.
I watched a little clip on that, and that was really heart-wrenching.
It was,
stuff.
wasn't it?
Do you know Fardy? I think it's Fardy from Australia.
Yes, played quite a few Test matches actually. Now he plays now in Leinster.
But do you know his story there? He played at that club.
Yeah.
And when the earthquake happened,
massive recovery.
He actually on that day and he helped with his team.
Yeah.
They went out and actually bought food and stuff. And mate, I was choking up when I was watching. Hey,
it was good.
Old man choking up.
Really old?
Well, yeah, 40, mate, 40. I would say that's a huge match for that area, and that's one game that I'm definitely going to watch. And I'm going to watch because I'm going to watch it for the crowd.
Yes.
I'm going to watch it for Namibia playing Canada, and it's going to be a humdinger.
Yeah.
Namibia have never won a World Cup match.
I think they'll win. If their defence was as good as they played against us, because I think they've peaked for Canada.
Oh, they've definitely looking at Canada. They even rested players for the All Blacks game. 9 players were rested between matches, so they should have a fresh one. What about USA Tonga?
Ooh, that'll shape up to be a nice match too.
I'm going to say USA are going to win that.
No, I think Tonga will.
Okay. Wales, Uruguay.
Wales.
Easy. And then the biggest game of all, probably the game that we all knew was coming. This is
shaped up to be the game of the pool matches.
Japan versus Scotland.
Yeah. Just because weighing up on it.
Because if I'm Japan, I'm thinking if I score 4 tries, get a bonus point, we're through.
Yes.
So let's throw the ball around.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking Scotland, I'm thinking we've got to win.
So
and we've got to
throw the ball around.
So we've got to throw the ball around.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, and Japan naturally throw the ball around.
Yes.
Scotland naturally throw the ball around. I'm really hoping that there's not going to be any bad weather. I think there's a typhoon warning around, but I think that area of Japan's going to be okay.
Guess where we're going to be? On a bus.
We're not going to be anywhere else other than this is going to be paused.
On a bus.
And as soon as we get back from work, we're all over it, mate. We're all over it.
I'm going to be looking at it, mate. Might even listen to it.
It's going to be a humdinger of a match. So that is on Sunday.
Yes.
Local time here is
11:45.
11:45, so perfect timing. Not too early, not too late. So anywhere in the world you can watch that and it will be a decent time, which would be absolutely fantastic. We are going to look at a number of our listeners' questions next.
What about the yellow cards?
We are going to talk about the yellow cards,
but
that's a bit later.
Oh.
So our first listener's question comes from Armin. Is that how you pronounce it?
Armin,
That'll do.
Armin?
He's put down here, Dear Damo and Toby, LOL.
No, Tobo.
I like that. Laugh out loud. Considering the recent doping scandals, the pale performance versus New Zealand, and now the loss of Jesse Creel. Now, can I just say, I don't rate Jesse Creel anyway.
You've said that quite a lot to be fair.
Due to injury, what are your expectations of the Springboks? He's got a great point. I think there was a big kind of thing about the Springboks coming in. They're looking really good.
Yeah, they were almost favourites to win it, weren't they?
They were one of the favourites to win it. I actually think that they're not that good. And I know this is an awful statement to make, and they hopefully will prove me wrong.
I still think they'll make the final.
I think if they make the final, they've kind of outplayed themselves. I think to make the final, potentially, they're going to be playing who in the quarters?
Well, they'll either play Japan, Scotland, or Ireland.
Yeah. So they're going to have to play, well, okay. And then the semis, you're then going to
go Wales
potentially, or England, I think. They've got
no.
Oh, that's us, isn't it?
That's the wrong side, mate.
I just think that they're going to have to play out their skin for 3 games, and they're limited in their attack. If they get a lead, then they're good.
Yes.
But if they don't get a lead, then they'll struggle because they're then chasing the game, and I don't think they've got a good enough attack to chase the game. They might get that once or twice, but to get it 3 times would be really interesting. I don't think they are going to make it past the semis. I think they'll make the semis, but past that, they might have outdone themselves. I'm really sorry. I think that they are slightly just too young. They're a little bit...
They are a young team, aren't they?
Yeah, give them another year and a half.
Yeah.
Then maybe they would be in a great position.
Although
but they've come a long way in a year.
If Colby gets the ball...
Oh, Colby is absolutely... I mean, he's
red hot.
He's the one guy like Villy LaRue, I think, used to be absolutely fantastic, but he's been a bit subdued in this World Cup. But he's Colby. Wow. Arguably could be player of the tournament if they stay in for long enough. If they stay in for long enough. Another question that was thrown at us was, who's been the big absentee from the World Cup? Lamape.
Lamape, yes.
Or
Damien McKenzie. He's a big one.
Yeah.
Diolante? Oh.
He would have been fantastic at the World Cup, but his hammy's gone. His hammy's gone, isn't it?
Yeah, hammy.
Whatever. Yeah. I mean, there's Fardy, there's Skelton, Toner that's been mentioned, but I just think that really there's no one massive that's missed out, I don't think. No one that I sort of say, what a real shame that they've missed out. And the World Cup is not the same.
To be fair, we haven't heard much about the other team. We haven't really.
No, but I do know that none of their big. Oh, well, Folau. Izzy Folau, actually.
Yes.
And what am I saying? Him not being part of this World Cup is huge.
What about
for Australia as well?
Yeah. What about what's his name for England? The first five potential first five
for England.
Yeah. See something.
Are you talking about?
Well, what's his name?
Wasps used to be Wasps. Oh,
what's his name?
No, Cipriani.
Yes, Cipriani.
Yeah, he's a really good player, but he's never been.
No,
he's been out of favour with Eddie Jones.
Yeah, he has. Yeah,
for a very long time, so that wasn't going to happen. And let's be honest, George Ford. Who would you have, Cipriani or George Ford?
George Ford, wouldn't you?
Really like Cipriani, but I'd have George Ford over Cipriani.
Would you have Cipriani or Owen Farrell?
Oh, good question. I mean, Owen Farrell, don't get me wrong, Lions versus New Zealand, tight game where you don't really want to get that ball that wide.
Good defender.
He's a really good player.
He's a good
the ball and
legal tackler.
Yeah, questionable.
Yeah, right.
But he's smart. You know, you've seen him actually recently in games where players have been going in that low position and he's not been tackling them. Whereas, you know, the two New Zealand boys is like, oh, smash it.
Here's my forearm, pal.
I'll knock your head off. So he's quite a smart player, but yeah, okay. McKenzie for me, big one, but Folau not being in this World Cup is a real shame for the World Cup. Massive shame for Australia. Before he was unavailable, I would have said Australia's chances of making it through to the final were huge.
Yeah.
Because you look at that back line and you're like, wow. What a back line.
Fire, wasn't it?
What a back line.
Yeah, it was nice.
And now you look at them and go, they're still a good back line, but they're relying on one or two people playing out of position to enable that to happen. So yeah, that was Armin's question. Now, second question comes from our good friend, the Razzler Dazzler.
Razzler Dazzler.
Do you want to take that first one away, mate?
No. Since rugby has moved to the new aerodynamically designed shape age space age high tech rubber rugby balls. Jesus Christ, long-winded that. I don't even want to read the rest. No, kicking drop goals is a hell of a lot easier than it was with the old leather balls, which can change shape, weight throughout the game. Yeah, well, how heavy would they have been?
Mate, they were really
in the weather. But imagine
you never played with them.
No,
did you?
Didn't
you
want
never
to.
Played with them. I did.
Hey, we've got one up here, don't we?
Absolutely.
But imagine in the humidity, what they would have been like as well.
They probably would have been all right in that type of
it's
conditions.
quite dry, isn't it? Dry.
But yeah, they're much heavier. I tell you what, though, when you got a good one. When you got a new one, it was like, it was amazing, eh?
Was it good?
Yeah, when you play with the old ones, it was like catching a medicine ball. And honestly, it was like that.
Really?
Yeah, kicking it was like kicking a medicine ball.
Oh.
And then when you got a good one, it came off your boot so well. So well.
Anyway.
Basically, he's going on to say...
Yeah, should they be 1 point?
I would agree. But the only thing that holds me back...
That's like in rugby league,
Toby,
actually,
is not many teams are kicking it, not dropping it. So it's not really an issue. I think in this World Cup, it may become an issue the closer we get, especially when you look at how Wales played their game against Australia. But I think at the moment, it's not really an issue for 95% of the time. So to change the rules for 5%
I don't think
of games, I don't think it's worth it.
No.
So I'm going to say Razzle Dazzler. I'm going to say keep them at 3.
I think so.
But if it becomes a problem, I think you've got a great point. Second listening question is Argentina's poor performance in the Rugby World Cup the best argument for awarding them a second franchise so they don't have all their eggs in one basket?
It's quite a good... That's a good question.
Yeah.
But I'm just not sure. Because they're allowed to play in Europe, aren't they?
They are after the World Cup.
Right.
So leading into this World Cup, they were only going to select players that were basically playing for the Jaguares.
Right.
I think there was some special agreements.
Yeah, was it over a certain amount of caps?
That's right.
Yeah.
I would say yeah. I mean, they've made the final of Super Rugby. They looked pretty good the year before. If they had 2 Super Rugby teams, then potentially you don't have the same issue they've got at the moment, which is all these players are playing. Basically, all they're doing is swapping shirts.
Yes. Yeah,
so, you know, there's a big difference between playing for your Super Rugby side and then playing for the national side. And I think that difference has maybe been blurred a little bit.
True, yeah.
You know? Like, you know, we say sometimes that the top Super Rugby teams are good enough to play international sides in one-off games, but a World Cup is like a long time.
Yeah. You know, it's a tournament,
you've got 10 weeks of lead up and tournament, and that's a long time to be with the same people all the time. You
know, for New Zealand, you don't always have to be on your top game facing teams like Namibia and Canada and those sorts of teams. But for Argentina, you kind of do. Maybe not for sort of Namibia or Canada, but, you know, you've got to be on...
For at least probably 3 of those games.
Yeah.
3 of those games is going to be a bit of a tester.
Exactly,
if you drop your performance.
And especially because they're not that high in the world rankings, they'll be playing hard teams like England.
Yeah.
You know, like France.
That's right.
Those sort of teams.
They're often going to be in the pool of death, aren't they?
Yes, exactly. And they were last year, were they?
Last time,
not like 2015. It was something like that. They had a couple of hard matches, but nothing like this year.
Yeah, they've been really disappointing this World Cup, haven't they?
Because I had them to be doing quite well. You know, I thought
they would be sharp.
Yeah.
You know, sharper than other teams.
Yes.
But they haven't been.
No,
they've looked washed out and worn out.
They've looked a bit dull.
Yeah. Which is not... They're not dull, are they?
No.
They're a good side.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm going to say definitely award them another Super Rugby team. But then you've got the problem of who do you drop out? They've going this new format. They're not really going to want to change again, but Sanzar do like to...
shape things up.
They certainly do. One more question. This is from me to you. Okay. Yellow cards, red cards in this World Cup. There's been 5, maybe 6 now, red cards in this World Cup.
Yeah.
There's been countless yellow cards.
Yeah. Is
this good for our game?
No. I don't think so. I think old-fashioned people are going to go, I can't be bothered watching this game. You know, for me as well, as soon as a red card comes out, I'm like, game's gone. The only game that I can think of where I thought, well, game might not be gone, was the Lions-New Zealand match, where Sonny Bill got red carded, and we actually played
pretty damn well.
We played very well. But
do you agree with the reds and yellows that you've seen so far?
Maybe not all the reds, but I think a lot of the yellows have sort of been, that's a yellow. But then again, some of them have been like, ooh, that could just be a penalty.
Do you know what I can't stand about them? Is when they stop the game.
Yeah.
They go back.
Yeah. They
look at it.
From every angle, they slow it down.
Slow-mo it down. I reckon in something like that, you just shouldn't slow-mo it. They should be able to watch it, and they should be able to watch it at full pace.
Yeah.
But they shouldn't be able to slow-mo, because I just think...
It looks so much worse, doesn't it?
Do you remember the Karevi
I don't know how
he got done for that, like leading with the forearm, which is a terrible decision. And they slowed it down so much that they still got it wrong.
Yes.
Those are the types of things where, I mean, some people were talking about Tuolangi's early tackle on the player in the ear, and they were saying, "Oh, that should have been a yellow card."
No, it shouldn't have.
I'm like, no.
No, I
Was
agree.
it dangerous? No. Did he tackle him in the ear? In the ear, yeah. In the ear, yes, he did. But there's so many of these moments in every single game. But then if you say that that's a yellow card, and I disagree with you. I know we've spoken about this. You're okay with those yellow cards that New Zealand had. I disagree.
You were okay with one.
Yeah, when he swung his arm in, I was kind of like, okay, I can.
But the other one, he was about 6 inches off the ground. There's nothing you can do.
Kieran Reid's been cited for a grass cutter tackle, and I'm just like, at what point are you? Because the problem is that if you can't tackle them with some viciousness,
can I just say,
just wait. You can't tackle them with a little bit of power.
Yeah.
Then what are teams going to do? They're going to pick and go, and they're going to get lower and lower and lead with their heads. Players are leading,
but they are leading with their head. And how come people aren't getting yellow carded? Because they're tackling with contact to the head, force to the head first.
Correct. That's the only thing they can aim at is the head, because they're leading with the head.
Yeah, exactly.
And these commentators, which is really annoying because they get paid so much money for doing their jobs. And they're like, oh, no, you should just let him go to ground. I'm really sorry, but if you let him go to ground,
he's going to make 2 meters.
2 meters every time.
Yeah.
They're leading with the head. Yeah. There's nothing else to tackle. Good luck. And you've looked at Reid's been almost done by it.
Yeah. 2
guys on the weekend have been done by it that we watched. And there is countless others that if you take the rule, which is shoulder, direct contact to the head, with force, yellow card, even with mitigating circumstances, you would have most of the forwards off the pitch.
Yeah, agreed.
Slow everything down.
Imagine if they had slowed the whole game down and gone through it with a fine tooth comb.
There wouldn't be a player, it wouldn't be a forward on the pitch, because that happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's just the ones they spot all, because he swung his arm and it just
it looks a little bit bad.
So for me, I don't agree. Now, they need to sort it out, and they need to sort it out quickly. My other reason why I don't agree is if you were going to bring all these rules into play and be really, really tough on them, you should have done it 3 years ago.
Yeah. Not at the start of a World Cup.
I think they've been tight on it before the World Cup, but
not as
tight as they are now.
It's because it's on the world stage, that's all. Everyone's watching it.
Yeah, everyone's watching players not playing.
Well, exactly, and that's the problem.
And I think that
the criticism is going to World Rugby, and then World Rugby are then going to the referees.
I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to say in the World Cup final, someone will be sent off.
I think so.
And it will be another Sonny Bill Williams moment versus the Lions, and it will decide the game.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
Because, you think World Cup final...
And it'll break hearts.
World Cup final, there is a lot of emotions running around.
Yes.
No matter how much you want to think.
Do you think
straight,
World Cup final or even in the semi-finals?
I think in the semis, but I'm saying the final will be decided by a red card. Or the final will be decided by yellow cards, and then towards the end of the game, the referee won't want to give them out.
No.
So therefore he'll panic and he won't give them out when he should be giving them out.
Yes. And
all of that will happen. So those are the listeners' questions, mate.
Mm.
Up next, we're going to talk about the news from the World Cup.
Okay. Right, so Damo, there's actually quite a bit of news. We're just going to
condense it down. Condense it down, the big stories.
Yes. So one of the big stories that we've highlighted is the typhoon that could leave Ireland at the brink.
That would be an absolute shocker.
So what would happen? What would happen if they couldn't play?
So if they couldn't
would
play,
they get a point each?
2 points.
2 points each.
2 points each, because it would be a draw. So they would get a point for the draw and a point for being within 7. So
7 of each. Wow.
And
that would mean
that basically, depending on what happens,
who are Ireland playing? Samoa.
Ireland are playing Samoa,
yeah.
And Ireland currently are on 11 points.
Yes.
And they've played the 3 matches. They've only got the 1 left, yeah? So they could finish on 13.
Okay.
Which is 1 behind
Japan.
Scotland have got 2 matches left.
Yes, they do. They're on 5, so they could get to 15.
They could get to 15, which means that Ireland would be out because of weather.
Oh my God.
That would be awful, wouldn't it? Your World Cup dream stopped because of weather.
Oh. I hope it doesn't come to that.
No. Oh, hello. I don't think it will come to that.
No.
I'm sure that they'll play pretty much in anything to make sure that game goes ahead. And we saw some of the conditions that World Rugby were happy for teams to play in when Samoa played Tonga. Did you see that game?
No.
They were literally, before the game, putting sand everywhere.
Really?
Because it was like standing water everywhere.
Oh, I didn't see that.
You would not play a junior rugby match in those conditions.
No.
But they played an international test match. The other big story that's come out is the old big Billy Vunipola with an ankle injury.
He got it strapped up pretty tightly, didn't he?
And that was early in the game.
Yeah, and he went off at halftime, did he?
Went off at halftime. I think there's nothing in this. I think this is typical Eddie Jones.
Steady Eddie.
I don't think Eddie's done it purposely.
No.
I think he's literally strapped his ankle up, allowed him to play the first half, taking him off as like a precautionary measure.
Yeah.
But then Steady's milking it for everything. We just won't say anything, and then all the teams be wondering what's going on.
But that's what's quite good about Steady Eddie. He doesn't like to give anything away, and he quite likes winding up the press, doesn't he?
Oh, he loves a bit of a wind up of the press, doesn't he? He loves it. Don't mean Steve Hansen loves it as well, though, doesn't he?
Well, they all do.
Michael Checker loves it.
Yeah.
He's a right wind up merchant.
He is, yeah.
He?
But it's funny for us. We're not in the news. We don't care.
Absolutely. The other big story that's come out is I think it was Rugby World Cup pundit has come out and absolutely attacked the All Blacks, saying that they are cheating and they've got diplomatic immunity by referees. I thought that was really interesting. I'm not sure whether he was Welsh or Scottish.
Right.
But do you know what that is?
Jealousy.
Sour grapes, mate.
Yeah.
Sour grapes.
Although I do love a good grape, but no one likes a sour grape, do they, Damo?
All I'm going to say is, if New Zealanders get the rub of the green, what you'll find is you don't make your own luck.
No, that's right.
Skill tends. The better you get, the more luckier you are.
Well, the thing is that not all of it, but I know a few English people that say, oh, Richie McCaw, Richie McCaw was a cheat. He spent, most of his playing career offside.
Yeah.
Well, why didn't he get pulled up for it?
I think it's really interesting because it's one of the only sports where they don't have rules. They have laws.
Yeah.
Because laws are interpreted. Did I even say that right? And what that means
is... You did say that right, though.
If you know the referee and you know what the referee is hot on and what the referee's not hot on, then you can play to his interpretation of the laws.
The boundary.
And there's nothing
you can push that boundary,
wrong with that. If a referee... if you know a referee interprets a certain thing in a certain way or likes to allow certain players, or not certain players, but certain, positions or whatever to hold the ball for a bit longer, then you play to basically his rules.
Yeah, of course.
There's nothing wrong with that. If you're not doing that, in my opinion, you're not smart.
Well, no, exactly, yeah.
You're not smart. And there's a lot of people who aren't as good as some of the New Zealanders. But I would say, being a New Zealander, maybe people would be spitting at us and saying, you're banging your own country's drum. But what does tend to cut New Zealand above the rest is they have a real in-depth knowledge of the game. You look at it, New Zealand coaching staff all around the world. New Zealand players, the biggest donors to the Rugby World Cup player pool. There's a good reason for that. We are a small country. We love our rugby and we understand our rugby. So therefore...
we know it well.
We know it well and we know what we can get away with and what we can't get away with. Is that cheating? I'll leave that to you to decide. But you're only playing against how the referee is interpreting the laws. They're not rules, they're laws because they're so wishy-washy.
They are.
That, there's so much, grey area in rugby and you've got to play to the grey area. Actually not playing hard enough. The last thing, mate, before we go, Joe Smith. It's come out that Joe Smith had a game plan against Japan that was like they've never played before,
Right.
and it was to try and confuse the opposition.
You can't confuse the Japanese, can you?
It wasn't to confuse the Japanese. It was so that they thought they could win that game.
Right.
So they decided to offload a lot more.
Okay.
In fact, they offload more balls in that match than they did in the whole of the Six Nations.
Really?
Yeah. And they were doing that so that
Jeez.
opposition teams started to think, oh, crikey, Ireland is doing this offload game.
Yeah.
We've got to now start thinking about that. And then Ireland were going to go back to what they were best at.
Right.
Didn't work.
No, it didn't. Clearly backfired, didn't
Clearly.
it?
But they
lost.
started so well. But I just thought it was really interesting. That is the lengths that coaches feel they need to go to try and get other opposition off the scent of what they're going to do. So you look at New Zealand, and in the last World Cup, they didn't do one backs move the same throughout the whole World Cup. They did not repeat a backs move from the first game to the last game.
Really?
And that lineup in the 2011, I think.
Yeah.
They'd only ever done that once in a game. That one, in the final.
Yeah.
So teams are literally changing their game plans on a daily basis.
So is New Zealand's game plan having Mwanga at 10 and Barrett at 15?
Are you saying that they might everyone's going to plan for that and then they might put Bowden back at 10?
Yeah.
That's a good shout, isn't it? That's a good shout. You're not normally full of good shouts, but that is a good shout by you. Could be very, very interesting. Could be very, very interesting. Yeah. It just shows, doesn't it? You can't play the same way week in, week out, as you're just going to get beaten. Anyway, Tobes.
Oh, we've come to a
conclusion.
Gosh.
How do they get hold of us, Tobes? We want some more questions.
Ooh.
And we want some free kit. Send
do.
us something that belongs to you.
Come on, Razor Dazzler.
Preferably something expensive.
Yeah. Gold chains.
How do they get hold of us?
They can get us on the Twitter at Super Rugby Pod.
On the Gmail, superrugbypodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. And on the Facebook, Super Rugby Podcast, I think.
Happy days. And if you really want to help us out, go onto iTunes and listen to us on both.
Leave a comment, though, as well.
Leave a comment.
Yeah,
give us a review. Go on YouTube.
Anything.
Write us just whatever you want to do. But
facts.
as much support as you can give us, that would be absolutely
much appreciated. And we love hearing from you, which I wait for the forwarded emails that I get from Damien at work. I wait for those emails. 2 this week. Marvelous.
We're really
marvelous.
Yeah. Anyway, until next week, it's been an absolute pleasure. Do you want to do the duty now? Number 1 is our normal tune, and number 2
is our new tune.
Japanese.
Yeah, but is it going to work?
I think it will.
Okay, let's try it out. See you guys later on.